What's up everyone, Grizzly Coast here and welcome to the video. So in every generation of Pokemon from generation 1 to generation 9, we are tasked to complete the region's Pokedex. More so now than back then, you're really able to explore anywhere you want around the region since it's more open world and free pace, I guess, or open pace. While back then it was just more linear, you just went straight to the next city and so on and so forth. With the inclusion of traditional DLCs dating back to Sword and Shield, you were just primarily focused on completing the Pokedex and the National Dex. So with that being said, ever since I began to work on the Pokemon Violet Pokedex and finally completed it just this past year, and decided to make it a living dex on top of that, I wanted to try my go at completing Generation 1. Well, technically Generation 3, but I would be catching Generation 1 Pokemon. I set a goal for myself to catch all original 151 Pokemon in Pokemon Leaf Green and Fire Red. Then I thought to myself, I should just might as well do the whole Generation 3 Pokedex instead of just Generation 1. And I wanted to give myself one further challenge and make it into a living dex. I'm probably going to do 3 separate videos, one for Generation 1, one for Generation 2, and one for Generation 3. So this video is primarily going to focus on me catching all 151 Pokemon, or Generation 1. The reason why I'm giving myself this challenge is because before Scarlet and Violet, I don't think I've ever completed any other generational Pokedex ever. So until I can call myself a Pokemon master and quite literally have caught them all, I'm just a Pokemon noob at this point. This is going to be my journey to capture all 1020, I think 25 Pokemon in the Pokedex. So this is the beginning of my journey with the original 151. I hope you guys enjoy the video. So for starters, we all start in our original city where we all first began playing Pokemon. Well, some of us at least, Pallet Town. Obviously, to capture all 151 Pokemon, I have to play through both Leaf Green and Fire Red. But also, on top of that, there's one more game we have to play, but I'll save that for later. Anyways, we went ahead and started our journey by going to Professor Oak's lab, after doing some minor side things, and finally chose our starter, Charmander and Bulbasaur, respectively in each of the games. Obviously, I went through the story and delivered Oak's parcel to the Pokemart employee, and in return, I got 5 Pokeballs and a Pokedex. Now that I have my equipment to start my journey, I went ahead and head off. Walking through Route 1, I was able to catch a Pidgey. Once in Viridian City, I went ahead and just went straight to Route 22 and fought my rival. But after fighting my rival, I went ahead and caught a Mankey, a Rattata, and a Spearow. Going back through and talking to the old man with the Teachy TV, I went straight to Viridian Forest so we can do some more captures. While in Viridian Forest, I went ahead and captured 2 Weedles, 1 Caterpie, 1 Metapod, and a 5% chance of catching a Pikachu, which I was pretty surprised myself. While level grinding for Brock's gym, I went ahead and evolved my Weedle to a Kakuna. I then fought Brock and kind of clapped his cheeks. I'm not gonna lie, that he was pretty. So with all of that, after defeating Brock, we are now at 11 Pokemon in the living dex. Now that we defeated Brock, our Charmander and Bulbasaur both evolved into Charmeleon and Ivysaur. Not adding to our total, but that'll come later. Now that we're on our way to Cerulean City, we had to pass by Route 3. At Route 3, I caught 3 Nidoran females, 1 Jigglypuff, and 3 Nidoran males. Once I got to Mount Moon, I caught 2 Geodudes, 1 Zubat, 1 Paras, and 2 Clefairies. On top of that, I also picked up a Dome and Helix fossil, 1 in each game. When I exit Mount Moon and went to Route 4, I went ahead and caught another Rattata, Spearow, Mankey, a new Sandshrew, and an Ekans. I also decided to evolve my Clefairy to a Clefable right before my rival fight. Heading north through the Golden Bridge and defeating all the trainers there, and Team Rocket on top of that, I went ahead and went to Route 25 where I caught 2 Bellsprouts and 1 Metapod. I was able to evolve Metapod to Butterfree and Kakuna to Beedrill. Going to Bill through Route 24, I went ahead and caught an extra 2 Pidgeys and an Oddish just in case. After all that, I went ahead and helped Bill. I got the SS Ann ticket from him after helping him, and I was able to defeat Misty and kind of demolished her team. Going south of Cerulean City, I was able to catch a Meowth before getting to the daycare person. Once I was able to go far enough south, I made it to Vermilion City where I was able to pick up an old rod from a fisherman. I also even traded a Spearow for a Farfetch'd. I kept looking around Vermilion City, went to Diglett Cave, and caught a few Diglett. I kinda caught 4. Then, to the route right next to it, Route 11, I was able to catch a Drowsy. I decided to fight Lieutenant Surge. I got the switches on the first try, which I'm kind of proud of myself. I can't say the same for the match. For the match, it was a little bit more difficult for me. The first time I did lose, but tweaked out in the process. On the second time, I was able to beat him pretty easily. So, after defeating Lieutenant Surge, I went ahead and returned back to Route 24 and caught 4 Abras. Yes, you heard that right. 4 Abras. 3 for the spaces that we are going to keep available in the boxes, and 1 to trade away. With that extra Abra, I went ahead and traveled through Diglett Cave back to Route 2, used the HM cut to then make my way to the scientist that I needed to trade my Abra for. I was then traveling through Route 9, where my Diglett was able to evolve to a Dugtrio, and Nidoran to a Nidorino. In Route 10, I was able to catch a Voltorb, but I didn't have Surf in order to go to the power plant just yet. Instead of going to the power plant, I then went to Rock Tunnel and decided to go through there. Unfortunately, I was very unlucky and not able to catch any Pokemon that I needed to add to the Pokedex, but once I exited Rock Tunnel and went to Lavender Town, I was able to return and get Machop and Onix. Once in Lavender Town as well, I went to Route 8 and I was able to catch 2 Vulpixes and 2 Growliths. I was also able to evolve my Pidgey to a Pidgeotto on Route 8. I then made my way to Celadon City and I gambled. I gambled my life away. I gambled. Then I went ahead and shopped for a Firestone to evolve my Vulpix to a Ninetales. On Route 16, I was able to get the hidden machine, the HM, a Fly, and now it's going to be so much easier for me to travel across the region. But on the outside of Route 16, I also was able to catch a Doduo. Obviously, Team Rocket was all around Celadon City, so I went ahead and fought Team Rocket at the game corner and took on their boss, Giovanni, as well. I was able to defeat Giovanni, and he dropped the Silph Scope, and this would help me back in Lavender Town at the Pokemon Tower to then finally see the ghosts. After my battle with Giovanni, my Ivysaur evolved into a Venusaur. Back in Route 16, I was able to catch a Raticate. Also, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot that I didn't battle Erica yet. I went ahead and battled Erica. Before leaving Celadon City, I went ahead and got the Eevee from the classroom on the tippy top of the roof, and I also got the cup of tea from the grandma in the building as well. That cup of tea allowed me passage from Celadon City to Saffron City. Once in Saffron City, I took on the karate gym, and after beating the master, I was able to get Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee. I had forgotten I had an extra Moonstone in Fire Red, so I went ahead and evolved my Nidorino to Nidoking. Flying back to Lavender Town, I entered the Pokemon Tower, and that's where I put the Silph Scope to use. I was able to catch a Ghastly, 2 Cubones, and a Haunter. 2 of them, actually. After defeating Team Rocket at the top of Pokemon Tower, I saved Mr. Fuji and brought him back to his house, and that's where he gave me the Pokemon Flute. With the Pokeflute, I'm able to wake up Snorlax at Route 12, and I was able to catch him on top of that. A little further down Route 12, I was also able to acquire the Super Rod from one of the fishermen in his house. I then flew back to Saffron City and finished taking down Team Rocket in Silphco. But before defeating him, I went back to Celadon City to get another Firestone in order to evolve my Growlithe to an Arcanine and Eevee to a Vaporeon with the Water Stone, obviously. After finally taking down Team Rocket, I got a Lapras and a Master Ball for compensation by the president and one of his employees. Finally making my way through Route 12, I was able to catch 2 Venonats, 1 Weepinbell, 2 Horsies, and 2 Glooms. I also caught an extra Weepinbell in Route 13 to evolve it to Victory Bell later. Once I finally made it to Fuchsia City, I then flew back to Celadon City to buy a Leaf Stone to evolve my Gloom to a Vileplume. Flying back to Fuchsia City, I then went to someone's backyard and I caught a Goldeen, Poliwag, and Gyarados. Realizing I had forgotten to catch Ditto at Route 15, I then returned back to Route 15, caught the Ditto for some fun later. Not with me, with other Pokemon. Returning back from Route 15 to Fuchsia City, in the backyard, I was able to catch a Magikarp and Seaking. My Mankey was then able to evolve to a Primeape, and going back to Route 15, I caught another Pidgeotto to later evolve it to Pidgeot. After that, I decided to fight Koga, defeated Koga, and gave him and his Pokemon a burial after, because golly, he he got demolished. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Koga. After burying Koga in what was a most terrible defeat for him, I then traded my Haunter from Fire Red to Leaf Green to evolve it to Gengar. I then wanted to get into the Safari Zone to progress the story a little bit more, where I was able to get the gold teeth for the Warden and the HM Surf on top of that. While in the Safari Zone during the whole story, I was able to catch a Rhyhorn, Execute, and an extra Paris. Back in Fuchsia City, I caught 2 Slowpokes. Now bringing up the extra Paris, I then went ahead and evolved my Weeping Bell to a Victory Bell and Paris to Parasect. So going west from Fuchsia City, on Route 18, I was able to catch a Fearow. So surfing from Route 19 to Route 20, I evolved the 2 high-level Slowpokes to Slowbros. On Route 19 specifically, I was able to catch a Tentacool. After surfing for a bit and arriving to Seafoam Island, at Seafoam Island, I caught 2 seals. I then decided to return to Pallet Town and caught a Tangela at Route 21. I then evolved my Doduo to Dodrio. Finally arriving to Cinnabar Island, I flew back to Fuchsia City right away. Back in Fuchsia City, I traded my Slowbro for a Lickitung. Flying back to Cinnabar Island, I then gave a scientist my Helix and Dome fossil so he can revive them both. After dropping off the fossils, I then remembered about the old Amber back in the museum in Pewter City. So I decided to go back, steal it for myself, and go back to Cinnabar Island right after. Once back at Cinnabar Island, I got to the scientist and he was able to give me back my Ammonite. I then exchanged it for the old Amber to hopefully get an Aerodactyl later. While still on the island, I then entered the Pokemon Mansion and caught a Grimer and Koffing. After catching these Pokemon, I returned back to the scientist and got the Aerodactyl. Going back to the mansion, I got a Muck on top of that, while also evolving Seal into Dugong. So I started Blaine's gym and I was able to evolve my Venonat to a Venomoth, but then I decided to take a break from the gym, fly back to Route 17, and evolve my Abra to a Kadabra. I then surfed through Route 20 to catch 2 Krabbies. I continued through Seafoam Island, explored a bit, flew to Cinnabar Island, and finally finished defeating Blaine's gym. And totally forgot I forgot to battle Sabrina. After defeating Blaine's gym, I then unlocked the pre-post game, I think. I was sailed off to one island. There I got the meteorite, the tri-pass, and the extra pages for the island map. After being told I need to acquire the Sapphire and Ruby, I then sailed to 2 Island. Traveling through 2 Island, I caught a Poliwhirl and Persian. I then sailed to Island 3 and defeated some wannabe bikers. On 3 Island, I was able to make my way to Bond Bridge and I caught a Tentacruel. Then, walking a little further, I made it to the Berry Forest and I was able to catch the Hypno. I decided to continue through the pre-post game a little bit later and return to Cinnabar Island. So I flew back to Saffron City, took on Sabrina's gym, and I won with Charizard pretty easily. Instead of taking my time, I literally just flew straight to Giovanni's gym, fought through the gym, evolved Poliwhirl to Poliwrath, and finally finished acquiring all 8 gym badges. So now that I've finally acquired all 8 gym badges, it was time for me to go and defeat the Elite Four. But before then, I had some other things I wanted to take care of. I evolved my Krabby to a Kingler. I fought my rival twice because the first time I wiped out. I began going through Victory Road and I caught Marowak, Golbat, Sandslash, and Machoke. Once I made it to the Indigo Plateau, I then started my first run, and once I got to Bruno, that's when I wiped. I decided to return to Route 10 and catch Zapdos, but instead I kind of got a little sidetracked and caught a Magnemite, Magneton, Electrode, and evolved my other Pikachu to Raichu. After evolving Pikachu to Raichu, I kind of realized I needed a lot more money, and fairly quickly. I then quickly caught 2 Geodudes and a Machop. Then I started the money grind. Once I was done with the money grind, I returned to Route 10 and planned to enter and fight Zapdos. But I ran out of Pokeballs since I had no more money. Instead, I was able to evolve Geodude to Graveler, 2 of them at least, Horsey to Seadra, and Machop to Machoke. Now we are finally in the hundreds. Money grind part 2, baby. I returned to the power plant after money grinding and decided to catch Zapdos, but with the Master Ball. Luckily, I had an extra Master Ball due to trading from Fire Red to Leaf Green, so I gave myself an extra one. I money grinded a 3rd time because I need the money. After all of that, I returned to Elite Four and wiped them easy, so much easier with Zapdos on the team. Except when I fought my rival, I lost the first time, tweaked out a bit, but luckily on the second go, I was able to win. After defeating the Elite Four and defeating my rival, I was then included into the Hall of Fame. After returning to Pallet Town, I went to go see Professor Oak, and he upgraded my Pokedex to National Dex. But we're going to continue that a little bit later down the line. So let's go ahead and speed this up a bit. Victory Road, I caught an Arbok. I traded all the starters from Fire Red to Leaf Green and evolved them just to give it one straight go. I evolved a Nidoran female to Nidorina, 2 of them, and a Nidorina to Nidoqueen. I caught 2 Ponytails at Kindle Road. I evolved the Jigglypuff to Wigglytuff to then send it with Ditto at the breeder on Island 4 so they can get a little freaky. After that, I went ahead and evolved a Nidoran male to Nidorino. In Ruin Valley, I caught a Psyduck. I then returned to the old man on Island 4 and got a special egg from him. Back in Seafoam Island, I caught Psyduck and evolved Psyduck to Golduck. After walking so much, the egg finally hatched. But I had totally forgotten that Jigglypuff has another form before it. So Igglybuff was born. Anyways, I evolved Abra to Kadabra and bought another Abra from the Game Corner to free it from Team Rocket's clutches. Back at my hometown in Pallet Town, I then caught 2 Shelders. I evolved one of them to Cloyster using a Water Stone. Money Grandpa 4, baby. Back at Mount Ember, I was able to catch a Rapidash. Back at the Pokemon Mansion, I caught a Weezing. I caught another Execute and evolved it to Executor using Elite Stone. I then caught another Rhyhorn and Chansey in the Safari Zone. So keep in mind, all of this beforehand was a little mixture of live streaming on Twitch and offline streaming, or offline recording. So while offline, I then caught a Jigglypuff. I don't think I recorded this because it kind of took a while, and instead of having to evolve the Igglybuff, I decided to catch one instead. I also did some offline trading, so basically evolving my Kadabra to Alakazam, my Machoke to Machamp, and my Graveler to Golem. Once back on stream, I then evolved my Rhyhorn to a Rhydon. At the Safari Zone, I then got a chance to capture a Pinsir and a Kangaskhan. Back in Pallet Town, I caught 2 Staryus and evolved one with the Water Stone to become Starmie. Back in Route 6, I caught 2 Poliwhirls. I returned to the Safari Zone to catch a Scyther and 2 Dratinis. For the last Dratini, I decided to buy it from the Game Corner. I then traded a Poliwhirl for a Jinx and returned back to the power plant to capture an Electabuzz. At Mount Ember, I was able to catch Magmar, grinded some levels, and evolved Dratini to Dragonair. Once offline, I caught a Tauros in the Safari Zone. Once on stream again, I then traded 3 EVs from Fire Red to Leaf Green by repeating the same save file and evolved 2 of them to Jolteon and Flareon. I then gambled my life savings away. But I did win big. I also bought a bunch of coins in order to capture, or in order to buy, Porygon. I level grinded Almanite to Amistar and sent Amistar and Ditto back to the breeder on 4 Island so they can get a little intimate. Okay, stay with me now. I then returned to Seafoam Island to capture Articuno and returned to Mount Ember to capture Moltres. I took the Elite Four on one more time to level up and money grind a little bit. At least I was able to level grind the Dratini line. So basically, I was able to just gain XP and levels, but no evolutions yet. I returned back to Island 4 to get the Almanite egg from the breeder. Luckily that's where I was able to evolve my Dratini to Dragonair and Dragonair to Dragonite. Now it was finally time for me to capture probably one of the biggest, strongest Pokemon there is, Mewtwo. So I used the Master Ball to catch Mewtwo. I did not want to struggle at all. Finally returning to Cinnabar Island and getting the Kabuto from the scientist, I then went ahead and used the save file twice. Instead of having to breed, I just got 2 Kabutos from the scientist. Luckily with that, I level grinded a little bit and evolved Kabuto to Kabutops. With that, I have finished my Pokedex, all 150 Pokemon. But I am missing one, and that's Mew. Unfortunately, in Leaf Green and Fire Red, Mew is unattainable to capture or even encounter at all. Back in the Generation 1 games, there was a glitch you can do and you can capture Mew, but you wouldn't be able to really trade it anywhere. Even if you did it on the 3DS version of the games, you wouldn't be able to transfer your Mew to Pokemon Home because it would not count as a legal Pokemon. So then I went ahead and did some research, watched a few videos, and stumbled upon a Johnstone video where he kind of showed you that Mew was attainable, but in Pokemon Emerald. So I went ahead and booted up my copy of Pokemon Emerald and played through the whole thing from beginning to end. On stream, I did not record it because I did not want to go sift through the whole video. So luckily, I finished the story of Pokemon Emerald. I wiped through with Rayquaza, the whole Elite Four. Don't come at me with the pronunciation of Rayquaza, okay? You might say Rayquaza, I say Rayquaza. I don't know why. It's just how I am. Anyways, I did some things to get the old C map to my English version of Pokemon Emerald. I didn't buy the Japanese version just because, I mean, it would have to require me to buy the game, play through the game, and kind of do that whole thing. But I already did it in the English version. Whatever, right? That's fine. Luckily, all these Pokemon are going to be staying on my Leaf Green save file, and instead of being transferred to Pokemon Home or Pokebank. So once I acquired the old sea map in Pokemon Emerald, I then set sail to Faraway Island. There, I was able to capture, I almost said defeat, but I was able to capture Mew. Now, finally, after so long, I have finally completed all original 151 Pokemon in the Kanto Pokedex. With that, I then went to the game devs in the game, to Game Freak, and they gave me a special certificate that I'm going to include here. So, how was my experience? How did everything go for me? How is it just reflecting on my, I guess, my journey? And it took me long nights and honestly months on end to finish this just because of time constraints. Yes, I did offline grind a lot of it, but that was in the beginning. And honestly, for months on end, I didn't do the challenge for a bit. I was very busy during that period of time. In between February to April or even May, and that's when I picked it up again. So now we're in August and I'm finally getting around to uploading this. Well, it might be coming up in September actually. It's August 30th today. But honestly, just reflecting back to everything, I feel very, very proud of myself just because I set this goal and I was finally able to accomplish it. Even though it took me so long, I was still able to accomplish it and get to the end part of my goal. But obviously this is just like the first part. There's obviously more parts that I want to get done later on with other games and other generations. But I'm taking this win because I have never, for some reason, never completed the game's Pokedex, just because I never had both games. I need to trade Pokemon around. Yeah, I feel very accomplished about doing this, being able to finally complete Pokedex and saying I finally completed a Pokedex, a living dex nonetheless, right? I feel a sense of accomplishment. But now that I'm done with this goal, I'm setting myself a new goal. And the new goal is to acquire all Generation 3 Pokemon. The passion is back, the drive is back. So if you guys do want to continue following me on this journey, I guess, you guys can follow me on my Twitch. The link will be down in the description. So on my Twitch, that's where I'll be playing all the games and capturing all the Pokemon, and maybe I'll do offline grinding, but right now I just want to focus on finishing the video to then get out the next one. Anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up for me. I would greatly appreciate it. Comment down below what you guys want to see, honestly. I do have a vlog that I recorded from the Pokemon Center back in Anaheim during the 2025 Pokemon World Champs. So maybe I can put that up if you guys are interested. Let me know. If you guys want to keep up with the content and everything that's going to be coming up soon, hopefully on this channel, then make sure to subscribe down below. Well, that's all from me. So I hope you guys have an amazing day. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.